For more than 15 years, the world has argued with numbers, goals, assists, Ballon d'Or, records stacked on top of records. And yet, Zinedine Zidane has finally broken his silence with a sentence that cuts through all of that noise. A sentence that questions the very foundation of this endless war between Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. What if goals don't tell the whole story? What if the truth is something numbers can't explain? Before we begin, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you stand in the Messi-Ronaldo debate. Because what you're about to hear might force you to rethink everything. To understand why this statement matters, you have to understand who is speaking. Zinedine Zidane is not a commentator chasing headlines. He is a man who lived football from the inside. A Ballon d'Or winner, a World Cup champion, and later, a coach who stood on the touchline of the biggest matches on earth, managing egos, pressure, and legends. He coached Cristiano Ronaldo at Real Madrid during his most ruthless years. Seasons of 50, sometimes 60 goals, a machine built to decide games with cold efficiency. Zidane trusted him when everything was on the line. And on the other side, Zidane watched Lionel Messi not as a fan, but as an enemy. From the bench, from tactical meetings, from nights when one touch was enough to destroy a perfectly prepared plan. Today, Messi is 38 years old, and yet he still leads all major attacking charts, with 71 direct goal contributions in a single season. Numbers that feel unreal. Numbers that should end any debate. So why does Zidane hesitate? Why does he say, there is something goals cannot tell you, and more importantly, what exactly did he see that the rest of us might have missed? For years, Zidane avoided the trap. Every time journalists tried to pull him into the Messi-Ronaldo war, he smiled, deflected, changed the subject. While others fed the fire, he stayed above it. That silence was not accidental. It was the silence of someone who knew that whatever he said would become a weapon. But then, during a calm, almost intimate exchange, the tone changed. Not in a press conference, not after a defeat, just a simple question about greatness, and that's when Zinedine Zidane paused. A long pause, the kind that tells you he is choosing his words carefully. He didn't say Messi is better. He didn't say Ronaldo is greater. Instead, he said something far more disturbing for this debate. I saw things that goals can't explain. Why now? Why speak after all these years? Because time has changed the debate. Because the numbers have become overwhelming. Because Messi, at 38, is still bending the game, still leading, still deciding matches. And because Ronaldo's legacy, built on historic scoring, has pushed football into an era where statistics dominate every conversation. Zidane is reacting to that shift. He is not attacking numbers. He is questioning their tyranny. As a coach, he prepared matches with hours of video analysis. He counted runs, transitions, zones, expected goals, and yet, again and again, one player destroyed everything without following the script. So the real question is not why Zidane spoke. The real question is, what exactly did he see on the pitch that forced him to finally say this out loud? When Zinedine Zidane says, I saw things that goals can't explain, he is not being poetic for the sake of it. He is describing a feeling every defender, every coach, every teammate recognizes immediately. Goals are the final line of the story. But Zidane is talking about everything that happens before the ball hits the net. The fear in the opponent's shape, the hesitation in midfield, the silent agreement between defenders that something bad is about to happen. With Cristiano Ronaldo, the threat is clear and brutal. You know where it comes from, the run, the jump, the strike. He dominates you physically and mentally. He punishes mistakes. His greatness is visible, measurable, undeniable. But Lionel Messi works differently. He doesn't wait for mistakes. He creates them. One touch slows time. One body feint breaks a defensive line that was perfectly organized seconds earlier. Suddenly, the plan is gone. Not because of a shot, but because of control. Zidane is talking about power without violence, about domination without noise, about a player who can change the rhythm of a match without scoring or assisting for long minutes, yet still owns it completely. As a coach, this is terrifying. Because how do you prepare for something you can't quantify? How do you adjust a system to a player who doesn't obey systems? This is why Zidane's sentence hurts the debate. It suggests that football intelligence, perception, and influence might matter as much as goals. And once you accept that idea, the Messi-Ronaldo argument becomes far more uncomfortable than any scoreboard. To truly understand Zidane's perspective, you have to go back before Messi and Ronaldo, back to a time when greatness was felt before it was counted. Zidane played in an era of artists and monsters. Ronaldo Nazario destroying defenses in 5 meters. Ronaldinho smiling while humiliating entire teams. Thierry Henry deciding matches with elegance rather than volume. In that generation, numbers existed, but they were not the obsession. What mattered was control, authority. The feeling that one player owned the pitch, even on nights when he didn't score. Zidane himself was that kind of player. Rarely the top scorer, but always the center of gravity. So when Zidane looks at Messi, he recognizes something familiar. A player who bends the game around him, who forces opponents to defend differently, press differently, panic differently. A player whose influence begins long before the final pass or the final shot. Ronaldo, on the other hand, represents something new, the perfect symbol of modern football. Optimization, relentless production. Seasons of 50 or 60 goals that turn the impossible into routine. Ronaldo didn't just adapt to the era of statistics, he dominated it. And that is the historical tension Zidane is pointing at. 2 forms of greatness colliding. One that overwhelms the record books, another that overwhelms the game itself. The tragedy of modern debate is that history gets flattened into charts. Zidane refuses that flattening. He remembers a football where fear, silence, and anticipation mattered as much as goals. And that memory shapes his verdict, even if he never states it directly. Zidane's words do not just look backward, they quietly attack the way football is judged today. In an era obsessed with heat maps, expected goals, and rankings updated every weekend, his sentence feels almost rebellious. Modern stars are built on output. How many goals? How many assists? How many decisive actions? Players like Erling Haaland or Kylian Mbappé are already being framed through that lens. Monsters of efficiency, destroyers of space, future kings of statistics. But Zidane's question hangs in the air. What happens to players who control games without always finishing them? What happens to intelligence, rhythm, gravity, if they don't translate cleanly into numbers? This is where Messi becomes a warning as much as a legend. At 38, still leading with 71 goal contributions, he proves that numbers can follow influence. But Zidane is reminding us that influence comes first, that domination begins in the mind of the opponent, not on the scoreboard. Ronaldo shaped an era where greatness meant production without mercy. Messi shaped an era where greatness meant bending reality itself. Zidane is not choosing sides. He is asking which definition of greatness will survive. And maybe that's the most uncomfortable part. Because if football fully forgets what Zidane is talking about, then future Messis might never be recognized at all. Zidane never gave us a winner. And maybe that's the point. By saying he saw things goals can't explain, he didn't end the Messi-Ronaldo debate. He exposed its limits. One built an empire of numbers. The other bent the game itself. And history will decide which legacy ages better. Now it's your turn. Does greatness live in statistics or in the silent moments that control everything? If this video made you think differently, like it, share it, and subscribe for more stories without filters. And tell us in the comments, after Zidane's words, has your view of Messi and Ronaldo changed?